All right, I try not to get involved when Bitcoin is going sideways. It's been going sideways for 6 weeks, but some technical developments have happened. And you tell me, is it time to go long finally?
Well, we were just talking before that you astutely pointed out there was a big options expiration on Friday. And before that, most of the dealer community was basically long optionality, and they were their hedging activity was helping to kind of pin Bitcoin into where it's resided in the sort of the high 80s for the last couple of weeks. It's been kind of a numbing and confounding market, right, since this liquidity event that the market had on October 10th.
Big sell-off, yeah.
Right, big sell-off and big liquidity event that kind of really spooked the market pretty good and drew out a lot of the fast money into other places. Has given us basically a heartbreak quarter, which has ended a year where a lot of the slow money progress in integration and legislation and building in M&A has been great, but the fast money seems to have evacuated from the token space. So I guess the best way to put it is I think Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market, its attention span seems to be a quarter. Things happen in quarters. We've had almost exactly a solid quarter of downtrend, so this too shall pass.
Yeah, I like that because guess what? It's the end of the quarter.
It is.
And I think the first quarter has been a pretty good time. The beginning of the first quarter has been a pretty good time to buy Bitcoin. And if we go to the Wi-Fi Interactive, I'm just going to show a chart real quickly because I was mentioning to you also, I like the technicals. Here's the year to date in Bitcoin. And we got a pretty steep trend line, and you got to be careful about these sometimes, but we have just crossed over that. So you gently step over that. I would point out here, 75,000 is the low of the year. I'm going to put a 2-year chart. That was a year to date. And so here's that same level I just highlighted, 75,000. It was also the peak the prior year. So kind of a line in the sand for a lot of investors. Where do you see the money coming into Bitcoin? The ETF, I keep hearing all these new companies finally onboarding Bitcoin onto their platforms. Anything there?
I think the bullish case for Bitcoin is that its investment thesis is intact. I think what's happening a lot with other tokens, right, with everything from Ethereum all the way down is people are starting to scratch their heads and say, I get that there's going to be more adoption of blockchain technology, but what does this token have to do with it? How do I relate those two things into an investment thesis that gets me in for the long term? Bitcoin on its own, it's fine. Store value, it moves from one place to another. It has a very simple purpose. And therefore, people who want to invest for the long term can kind of count on that. The precious metals have taken away a lot of the fire in terms of the debasement trade, but there are a lot of technical reasons and geopolitical reasons that are driving those movements as well. So I think you point out some really interesting levels of that $75,000 level, which was due to some flush outs of perps back during the taper tantrum back in Q1 of last year, right? That was kind of a region where we haven't had a lot of price discovery. Remember, after the election in 2024, Bitcoin raced from about 69,000, pretty close to it, very quickly, right? So there wasn't a lot of kind of price discovery and kind of settlement there. Things just raced up. So that's a tender area, that sort of $85,000 to $75,000 level. We've held on to 85 pretty well. We've seen, as you pointed out overnight, whether it's been MicroStrategy buying or option dealers being short gamma, that the race up to 90 can be pretty fast. And then we'll have to see where things go from there. We don't have a lot of the baggage that we did in the first quarter of 2025 with the inauguration and then with an immediate tariff policy. Things seem a little smoother with a little bit more precise expectations for the Fed. So if things roll out pretty slowly and a trend begins to develop, I think investors can start to watch that and make their decisions there.
Another thing I remember from the beginning of last year, there was, as soon as Bitcoin made that humongous rally into the inauguration, and it stopped shortly thereafter, I heard $200,000, $300,000 price targets. Those were coming out pretty quickly. And we had probably, arguably, the most favorable regulatory backdrop for crypto in a long time, if not ever. Without those tailwinds, though, I mean, what has to happen? What's the catalyst that gets Bitcoin to 200?
Great. It's a great question. And I think the answer is not in Bitcoin. The answer, and what ended up happening a month later, was that Ether found a bottom and had its massive, very powerful rally. Ether was the poster child, was the representation of blockchain technology, stablecoins, tokenization, payments, things like that being adopted. And that led a massive rally which had breadth. Bitcoin needs breadth. Breadth needs Ether. Ether will lead the way of the adoption and technology names. High quality names will benefit more than low quality names. So I think ETH is a very, very important name to watch. It's starting out the year or ending the year around 3,000. The high was around, a little bit short of 5,000. So keep an eye on ETH for the adoption of blockchain technology representing itself into investments into tokens outside of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned breadth because I'm a big breadth guy when it comes to stocks, but it also applies to crypto. Yep. I'm going to get you out on this. Anything we haven't covered here or outlook for 2026? I'll give you the floor.
Yep. We have an index called the CoinDesk 20, which is now around 3,000, like ETH. It started out around 1,000 in the fall of 2022 when we based it. There's a mid-cap index called the CoinDesk 80. It's based the same way. Yeah. It's under 500, right? So we're really seeing a pull away of high-quality names and important critical names versus low-quality names. Get some diversification, get some breadth. An ETH-led rally will bring a lot of other names with it. Bitcoin will handle itself, and just go for some breadth in 2026.
All right, breadth in 2026. Love it. Andy, thank you for stopping by here. Great to see you.
Good to see you.